I ain't preaching on that one yet. I ain't got there. That is a place of pleasure. It's a place of prosperity. When you got a great river, guess what happens? You can bring barges up and down the river. You can bring all these things. Everything goes up. How do you get things from one place to another place? Oh, you just put them on the river. It makes a country great. Do you realize that that is what made Memphis, Tennessee was a river? What made St. Louis was a river? What makes New Orleans a river? What made all those, what makes Cincinnati a river? The Ohio River runs down through Cincinnati, runs down to the Mississippi, and go all the way to the Gulf Coast so they can get out in the water. Why? Because in the older days you had to get things from one place to another, and before they had railroads, all they had was rivers. The river town was a great town, a port town. They had the Nile. It was their place of their prosperity. It was a place of their pleasure. And let me say this, God said, hey, not only is it that, He said, I'm going to turn it into blood. He did. He turned it into blood. Their prosperity, their pride. They said, we've got the Nile. He said, I'll just turn that into blood. Let me say that. It'll destroy your pleasure because it'll stink. The fish will die and it'll stink. It'll destroy your prosperity because it'll stink and nobody will want to go. And if you're a fisherman, you're not going to catch any fish anymore. It'll even destroy your posterity because nobody will want to drink the water. And if you don't have water, you know what happens to people? They get sick. Dehydration is the #1 killer in the world. It causes disease because you don't flush your system out. If they don't have water to drink, no fun, no fish, no future. God says I can conquer through God of pride that you have. God rules over the land. Let me just say this. God rules over life and God rules over little things. He sent lice and flies and all these things into their land. God can destroy anything He wants to destroy and build up any place He wants to build up. He can take a nobody and make him a somebody. He took a little shepherd named David, who was the 8th son of Jesse. He was a nothing. He wasn't Eliab. That one who was tall. Oh, he wasn't tall like Saul. He was a little ruddy young boy. But God said, I'll take him and I'll make him a king. When the world sees a nothing, God can make us something. Let me say this, the world might be able to imitate some of the miracles God could do, but they couldn't imitate them, all of them. God is so great, God is so glorious in holiness that the world could not do anything to stop Him. God can send the storms and God can calm the storm. So the gods of the princes of Egypt, the gods of the pride of Egypt, and the God of the people. God is greater than all the gods. Their prosperity, their finance, their prosperity, their family. Let me just say this, in their power. Who is like unto Thee, O Lord, glorious in holiness? What other God is there who can do what God did? God did just not just part the Red Sea. But Egypt said, we are a world power. We are the world power. We're it. Pharaoh's got the greatest army of all armies. We've got the chariots. We've got the horses. We've got the tanks. We've got everything we need to win. And God says, you just don't have me, and I can whoop you. So what happened? Our God is a man of war. The Lord is a man of war. Chapter 15 even tells us that. I think it's in verse number 4 of chapter 15 he makes that statement. Let me find that right there. It might not be there. It might be in chapter 14 that the Lord is a man of war. But the Lord is a man of war. And he will fight the battles. You say, what happens? What happens? Chapter 15, verse number 3. The Lord is a man of war. Here's what happened. They said, we got the greatest army of all armies. Hey, they think they're getting away. We're going after them. We're going to track them down. We're going to hunt them down no matter where they're at. And wherever they're at, we've got them entangled in the wilderness. We're going to go, and we're going to catch them, we're going to bring them back. We're going to bring them back into bondage. We're going to bring them back into this slavery. Can I tell you this? God said it ain't happening. What happened? God said, I'll split the Red Sea. And they said, okay, then we're going in after them. God said, I want to take the wheels off your chariots. They said, okie dokie, we're still going. They went running in after them. They got in the middle of the Red Sea. And then Moses turned around, lifted out a hand across the Red Sea. And all of a sudden, the water came down. And they were no more alive. Next time they saw them, they were washed up on the sides of the sea. Say, why? Because you might think that your power, your fighting force is something. But God can whoop the greatest fighting forces of all the world. All it's going to take on that last day is when Christ comes down and touches, that the mountain will break in two, and he'll just say 2 words, and there's going to be blood up to the bridles. He's going to say, drop dead. And guess what? The battle's over. The battle's not ours, but it's the Lord's. He is a man of war. The King of glory, the Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. He's greater than all the gods of the world. He's a God who controls creation. Can I say he can't be subject to his creatures? 7 times he said, let my people go. But Pharaoh said, I'm not going to do it. And even when he changed his mind, he decided to go against God and fight against God. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. He is my God. He is glorious in holiness. Let me just look at that verse right there in verse number 11. He says, glorious in holiness, fearful in praise. He's worthy of our praise. And let me say this, he's doing wonders. He's wonderful in power. Glorious in holiness. And if we really believe that to be true, we ought to do what he says in 15 verse number 2. Prepare him an habitation. An holy habitation. Be ye holy, for I am holy. Prepare your heart to receive what God wants to do. Get things out of your life that hinder you from our holiness. See, what are you talking about? Anything that stops you, get rid of it. I've told them when the people say, I cannot handle a credit card, I said, they don't have a credit card. People say, I can't stop drinking alcohol, and every time I go to Kroger's or something, I end up getting alcohol. Can I tell you, then don't go to Kroger's anymore. You can order it and pick it up outside. You don't have to get where that stuff's at. Prepare an habitation for the Lord. An holy habitation. Promote an holy convocation. Promote him, that others might come and see him, and others might see him and know him. Is that not what he tells us right here in verse number 2? He says, I will exalt him, that others know about the Lord, that they might come to the Lord and see the Lord. Because he's your strength. He's your song. He's our salvation. He's our sovereign. He's everything. He is glorious in holiness. My dear ones, what are we going to do? Do we really see Him as glorious in holiness? Do we really see Him as greater than all the gods of the world? Or do we think our bank accounts, our finances are greater than God? Can I say this? It doesn't take much for your bank account to go bankrupt. It really doesn't. There was a lot of people years ago, wasn't that many years ago, early 2000s I believe it was. There was a company out there, had a lot of people that invested in it. And all of a sudden, Enron went bankrupt. And when Enron went bankrupt, all these investment groups were losing money. All these ones who had their savings, all of that stock on Enron, it was the greatest energy company out there. And all of a sudden it was a nothing. Your finance can go like that. The FDIC only guarantees you so much money, and I can tell you this, with this bankruptcy, when it goes that bad, they ain't even going to be able to pay their bills. You say, oh, I don't believe all that. If you're going to trust in your finances to get you through, if you trust in your friends and your family, friends will forsake you. Family has to worry about their own self before they start worrying about you sometimes. Everything that we have that we worship can fail. The arm of the flesh will fail ye. Cease ye from man whose breath in his nostrils, wherein he to be accounted of. But God, who is rich in mercy, for His great love with He loved us, even when we're dead in sin, has quickened us in Christ Jesus. And because He loves us with an everlasting love, can I just tell you, He'll conquer all those things of Egypt, the world that is thrown at you. Did He not feed them in the wilderness? Prepare them a table in the wilderness? Was not able, Moses able to smoke the rock, and the rock brought forth water in the wilderness? God is a God over all creation. Glorious in holiness. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not on thine own understanding, all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy path. He is glorious in holiness. My friend, would you trust the one who is more glorious than everything else and everyone else? All that you trust in Him, would you trust Him? Would you trust Him? Only trust Him. Only trust Him. Only trust Him now. He will save you. He will save you. He will save you now. Oh, my friend. What do you think about Him who is glorious in holiness? Page 160.